Hello everyone, I'm Sean, alright, and this is Everyday Food Reviews. Today we've got some energy drinks, and we've got a bit of a comparison for you. Now, we've got 3 drinks to look at. We've got Relentless Cherry, we've got Lucozade Wild Cherry, put that over that side, and we've got Morrisons 1899 Cherry. I'll try and get a thumbnail of these. So, Abyss Fusion mentioned on the Discord a few weeks ago that the Morrisons 1899 was pretty good. And I said I normally keep a can of that in the car because it's a small can and it's my favourite shop supermarket brand energy drink. It's cherry flavour. And I said, you don't often see cherry flavour energy drinks, so even though it's not necessarily my favourite flavour, it's definitely up there, but it's not necessarily my favourite. I sort of have a disproportionate enjoyment of it because you just don't often see cherry flavour energy drinks. Also, I don't often shop at Morrisons, so I don't even get this very often. There's this Relentless one that you normally see about, but I'm not a massive fan of Relentless. We would have looked at this in the Relentless versus Burn video, but we couldn't get the cherry burn. Apparently it exists, but we couldn't get it at the time, and I've not been able to find it since either. So we'll look at the cherry in this video. And I bought both of these on Amazon Prime Now from Morrisons in Liverpool, and they had this Lucozade Wild Cherry, so I thought, you know, we'll have a look at 3 energy drinks, especially since doing the Lucozade videos with John and finding out Lucozade actually contains caffeine. It's about 12 milligrams per 100 ml, so it's got a bit less than even Mountain Dew, but it's still, you know, I think that's pretty comparable with Coke. From what I remember, I think Coke's about the same. So it is caffeinated and it's got sugar in. Now this one is sugar-free. This one has 24 grams in the can, so it's a half sugar one, as we believe all the Relentless is now. It's all sort of the half sugar, so about 4 or 5 grams per 100 ml, as opposed to the 10 grams that you see in Burn and Monster. And the Lucozade is 4.3 grams of sugar per 100 ml, but it's over 8 grams of carbohydrates because they've got just pure glucose syrup in there as well. And with the way sugar's measured, it comes out lower in actual sugar, even though there's a lot of carbohydrate in there. So we'll start with the Morrisons one, and I said as well, I said on the Discord, you know, you don't often see cherry drinks, so I quite like that one. I said that in the Boost video as well, where we looked at the Boost cherry. You know, it's not necessarily the best tasting cherry energy drink, but you don't see many cherry energy drinks. So when you do see one, it's special, whatever brand it is, unless it's Relentless. But you can see it's pink, as we'd expect. This one, like I say, this one is sugar-free. Cheers. This one's, I don't know if it's because it's sugar-free, but it's quite an acidic sort of cherry flavour. It is nice, I enjoy it, it's quite sour. You might not find it too smooth though. It might not be for everyone, but it's only 49p a can, or if you find it in Morrisons, it's either 3 for £1 or 3 for £1.20, I think, which is pretty good. You know, obviously, if you just get the one, that's the same price as Boost, so it's up to you which one you prefer. I think I prefer this one, but only very slightly. Also, you need to consider the Boost one isn't sugar-free. The Boost one is one of the half sugar drinks with about 4 or 5 grams. We'll try the Relentless. Now, I'm expecting this to be nice, even though as a general rule, I'm not a fan of Relentless. I haven't had this before, but my mate Greg really rates Relentless in general, but the cherry one specifically. And, you know, I think even Relentless would find it very difficult to make a bad cherry flavour. Well, no, it's quite a different colour to the Morrisons one. Well, That's like a Cherry Kool-Aid colour. So that's more of a sort of, I don't know, maybe more natural cherry colour. Whereas this is just red. It actually smells like Cherry Kool-Aid as well. It smells like a generic artificial cherry, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's a nice, excuse me, artificial cherry's a nice flavour. I enjoy it. Well, it's a lot sweeter than the Morrisons one, and it's less sour. I think more people are probably going to enjoy this one and prefer this one. Just remember there is sugar in it, but it's a smoother, more rounded flavour. Yeah, see, generally the Monster Ultra flavours really quite sort of sharp and sour. Obviously Monster Ultra Black is a cherry flavour. Not including that in this video because we've already looked at it before, and it's still really hard to get. You can still only find it in very specific certain Sainsbury's. Obviously this one you can only find in Morrisons, but you can also order it on Amazon Prime, either from Amazon or from Morrisons, and you can find it in any Morrisons. You can just go to Morrisons and get it. The Monster Ultra Black isn't in every Sainsbury's. You're in my experience and people I spoke to, it's in fewer Sainsbury's than it's not in. You're more likely to not find it if you just go to a random Sainsbury's that you don't know if they have it or not. So, yeah, what I was saying is that the Monster Ultra flavours are generally quite sour, but I think this is probably a bit sharper and more sour. This tastes more like what you might expect a Monster Ultra Cherry to taste like, because the actual Monster Ultra Cherry, the black one, it tastes smoother than any of the other Monster Ultras, I think, from what I remember. It tastes less sour. It tastes like quite a natural but very sweet cherry flavour, whereas the other Ultra flavours tend to be quite sharp and sour and quite acidic. So that's interesting. That's interesting. I think, see, it's a close call for me. I do like this. I think the actual cherry flavour is better, but I like the acidity of the Morrisons one. So I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen at the other in terms of flavour. Relentless is going to be easier to get, and it's going to be £1 a can. Maybe if you find it in a supermarket it might be 89p. Maybe some corner shops, if they've not got the price marked ones, it might be 110, 120. This is going to be 49p. So obviously at full price that's 2 for £1, but you can get it, I think it's, like I say, it's either 3 for £1 or 3 for 120, at which point it's cheaper than Relentless is ever going to be. The Lucozade Cherry. This was £1 for the whole bottle. Now, to get as much caffeine from this as you do from either of these, you're going to have 3 times as much. Obviously 3 times as much when it's already got as much sugar as this, but even more glucose. It's going to be a lot of calories, so you're not going to be drinking this for the caffeine generally, unless you just don't have anything caffeinated. Unless you get a sort of caffeine buzz from a can of Coke or something, you're not going to be drinking this for the caffeine, even though it is there. Now, you probably can't see. This is a very different colour. It's closer in colour to the Morrisons one, but it's very pale, which I did not expect. You see there, that's the same sort of shade, but this is paler. Obviously those are completely different. Now that smells really good. That smells, it's a proper sort of juicy cherry smell. It smells juicy. No, that's really nice. I was not expecting it. This is the only one of these 3 I've had before. This is a really well-rounded, really smooth flavour. Now it's not got as much kick to it, but it's such a nice flavour you don't need as much kick to it. I'm going to struggle to not just drink this whole bottle, but I'm not going to drink the whole bottle because it's full of sugar. Well, it's full of glucose. I don't need those calories. You can see the size of me, I don't need any of these calories. But that's a really nice flavour. Yeah, I really rate that. I think I feel a bit bad now because I've done other Lucozade videos with John over FaceTime. You know, it was the first FaceTime videos we did. Or that they were the first FaceTime videos we did. I think this is the best Lucozade. It's the best tasting cherry out of all of these. Now, would I get this again? In principle, yes. In practice, if I see it for £1 for a litre, I'd get it. But I wouldn't pick up a small bottle of this from the shop, the corner shop or something. You know, if I go into the corner shop, I'm looking for caffeine. I'm not necessarily looking for sugar. Sometimes I want sugar. Sometimes it can help with I get migraines. Sometimes a bit of sugar can help with them, but then, you know, it's a vicious cycle as you become dependent on the things that have helped you. It's a cycle of addiction, and I'm aware of that. But sometimes, you know, you just fancy some sugar. Generally, I'd steer towards the sugar-free things, but the main thing is I'm looking for caffeine, and I'm going to need to have 2 of the regular 380ml bottles of Lucozade to have about 800ml of liquid, which is going to have about as much caffeine as one 250ml can of this or Boost for 49p. Excuse me. And even then, I'm looking for caffeine. I'm probably not going to get a can of Boost or this. I'm probably going to get a can of Monster or Rockstar for 99p or £1.19. Having tasted this Relentless, if I was going to drink Relentless again, it would be this one. You know, I've been to shops a few times where they've only had Relentless. And I've got the apple and kiwi one and I thought it was okay until I tried the apple and kiwi burn, and then I realised how bad the apple and kiwi Relentless really was. But this cherry one's alright. There's nothing wrong with this. It's a very generic flavour of cherry. But it's a good generic flavour. You know, generic flavours, not everything needs to push any boundaries. Not anything needs to be special. You know, you can have a generic. You know, generic flavours are popular for a reason. They're generally okay. And that's perfectly fine. It's going back to it after the Lucozade. It does seem quite sour compared to tasting it after this. But yeah, compared to this one, yeah, the Relentless isn't very sour, but it is nice. I think that they're all a bit different. This Lucozade one is especially juicy and smooth. This Morrisons one is especially sour relative to the others. The Relentless one is especially generic. It's just what you'd expect if you heard something was cherry flavoured. But it's what you'd expect from a no-name brand, you know, just generic cherry flavour. And yet the sort of Boost and the LSV, I think it is, the cheapo corner shop brand of cherry, they taste more like this, but the LSV one especially tastes kind of like if you have heartburn and acid reflux and you've just drank 2 cans of this and you start getting acid reflux. That's what the LSV version tastes like. It's like an acid reflux version of the Morrisons one. Yeah, I think I've waffled on long enough. The cherry's very good, but it's full of sugar and not a lot of caffeine. The Relentless one's fine. You'll probably enjoy it if you like cherry. The Morrisons one is great. I still highly rate it, and it's cheap, but you'll only ever be able to get it from Morrisons or Amazon. So I think I'll wrap it up there. We've got 3 surprisingly good cherry flavoured energy drinks, despite me always saying, you know, there's no real cherry flavoured energy drinks out there. So yeah, cheers. We'll see you next time. Stay safe. Cheers.